My thought for the day is reclaiming our stories. Each of us live a story, and we are either the hero of our own life story or we're the victim. Many moons ago, I wrote a fabulous book called Powering Up Our Life Stories. I wrote this after working with youth and adults in schools and the community in helping people reclaim their stories. So today, I'm going to share one of the stories from this book in its oral sense. And you can delve in and read the written version later on. And also many other wonderful ways to reclaim stories are in here. Enjoy this one. In 1984, I was 21. I was at college and I was living in Upton Park. I lived in a row house in Alcott Street. There were supposedly 8 people who lived there. However, there was always more than that, often 13, 14 people staying. I remember one time a man was sitting in the front room and he kind of camped in there for about a week. And I had no idea who he was, and it transpired that nobody in the house knew who he was either. He stayed for a week and then he left, leaving it intact and pretty chaotic because it was a chaotic house. I remember going out to the WAG Club one Saturday night. We would all leave to go and get our groove on and dance the night away. However, this evening, one person in the house wasn't coming. Susie. She wasn't feeling very well. Susie was a go-getter, a saleswoman, and was always ready to party. But this night, her hair was sticking all over the place. She sounded really croaky. And it was to her bed she went. Well, we all went out and we danced the night away, well, till around about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then we all piled back to our house. There was a crowd. And you'd think those of us who lived there, one of us would have remembered to have brought a front door key. No, we were locked out. Well, the good news was Susie was asleep upstairs, so we banged on the door. Susie didn't wake up. We banged louder. She still didn't wake up. And some of the neighbours were waking up, so we were like, shh, be quiet. Now, what you don't know, and what we knew, was we always left our back door open. Simple, yeah, just go round the back garden and walk in. Well, not quite simple, because I said it was a row home. And there were lots of homes all joined together, meaning there were lots of gardens. And in the British Isles, we tend to fence them in, high fences. And not only were we a block of row homes, behind our house was another block of row homes. So the only way in was to go over fence after fence after fence after fence. And my friend Mark said, I'll go hop the fences and let everybody in. And I said, I'll come with you. And his brother Paul tagged along as well. Now Mark always boasted he could have been an Olympic athlete because he was so fast in the sprint. He always beat me in every race. And tonight, when he got to the first fence, he looked over and said, Racia. And my heart sank, because I knew Mark was going to win, he'd be the hero, and Paul and I would hop along and come in a wee bit later. Well, off we went, and I was determined. I ran as fast as I could. Now, one thing, again, that you don't know that I know is Mark is a lot shorter than I am. And where I was losing on the land, I was gaining in the air. And as we started climbing the fences, we were neck and neck. Now his brother Paul, who was a little bit chunkier, well, he was lagging behind. Mark and I we were going for it, and I looked over and I was like, I'm going to win. And he's like, no, you're not. Well, I launched myself at the next fence and at the next fence. And as the fences came closer to our house, I was in the lead. For the first time in my life, I was beating Mark. I got to the next fence and I launched myself over and splash! I landed in a goldfish pond. It was a very deep goldfish pond. And as I went under, the water came way over my head. And now I'm sitting in dank, dirty pond water. And I started to panic a little bit because I don't like putting my head underwater. And as I struggled, the pond weeds seemed to wrap around my wrists and my ankles. And I found myself stuck. And then I saw it. It was the largest snapping turtle I had ever seen, and it was swimming towards me. I struggled, desperately trying to get out. I couldn't keep hold of my breath much longer, and the turtle was getting closer and closer and closer. I saw its jaws, and then I did what you should never do if you are underwater in a garden pond. I screamed. And everything went black. The next thing that I knew was I was laying soaking wet by the pond with Mark leaning over me. I looked at Mark and I said, you saved me. You pulled me out of the goldfish pond. And he said, not me. No. When I came over the fence, you were lying here. And I don't think Mark saw it. But at the corner of my eye, there was a glint. And there, sitting by the pond, with the weeds in its mouth, was the giant turtle. And it might have been the way that the moonlight caught its eye, but its eyes sparkled. And then it winked at me. And then it dove in the water. I said, did you see that? And Mark said, see what? I went, the turtle. What turtle? Well, it didn't seem to matter anymore about who won the race. We climbed the last couple of fences and we got into our back garden. And you know, when we got to the back door, who was there? Everybody. Susie had woken up, let everybody in, and there was a mini party going on in the house. Well, when we went in and I am dripping wet, Mark, he said, everybody listen. Tonight, we braved the elements, we climbed over the obstacles, we raced our way to get here to let you in. And me, Mark, my brother Paul, and I'd like to introduce you to Sharky Steed, who stinks of pond water. And of course, everybody roared with laughter. I laughed too. I was glad to go up and get into the bath. Mark had run the bath kindly for me. And as I went into the bathroom, Mark followed me and he said, "You learnt an important lesson today, didn't you, Andrew?" Because I certainly did. And I said, "Lesson? What lesson, Mark?" He said, "Look before you leap, Sharky. Look before you leap." And I can't swear it's true. It just might have been how the bathroom light caught his eye, but his eye seemed to sparkle, and he winked at me. That's a fun story to tell, and it was a fun story to write. It's amazing how different the oral and the written word can be, and yet they carry the same essence of a story. Now, the original story was somewhat different. Yeah, Susie was upstairs. Yeah, we'd been out to the WAG club and no one had taken their key. And we couldn't wake her up. And we did race over the fences, Mark, Paul and I. And I did land in a goldfish pond. I was leading at the time. The goldfish pond, however, wasn't that deep. I threw myself over, landed in it, and I was sitting up to my chest. And Mark and Paul, well, they laughed so hard. And when we got back to the house, I was super embarrassed. And yeah, sure enough, everybody had got into the house because Susie had come down the stairs and let them in. And of course, I was the butt of the jokes. And every time that I would see Mark's brother Paul, he will love to recount this tale of me landing in the goldfish pond. And so I chose one day to reclaim it in a way where instead of me being the victim, I felt like the hero. I laughed. It became comical because I took it into another realm. I took it into the realm where I met a guide, a power animal, a turtle who chewed through my bonds and released me. And you know when it has really transformed. Because it was a couple of years ago, I went back to my hometown and I saw Paul and he recounted this story again. And every time before that, when he would tell it, there was a piece of me that would cringe. Yet as he started to share it, I was seeing it in a totally different light. I was envisaging the turtle and the wink, and it made me sparkle so that my eyes, my bodies were sparkling with the reclaimed story, powered up. This book is a great resource into looking at how you reclaim stories in different ways. And reclaiming stories is part of indigenous traditions. It's a whole lot of fun. If you want to know more about this, I am going to be leading an online course working with this book and working through each chapter. And at the end of each chapter, there are questions and journey opportunities. And I am going to support people in reclaiming aspects of their life stories, transmuting the energy from victim to hero. And just as we reweave our stories to reclaim them, so we reweave the worlds. This is an incredible time to be on the planet, to stand together, shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart, in the evolution of the worlds.